Annyeonghaseyo, goeiedag, goedemiddag, good evening, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Tanky101, and we are back here to talk about some books I've not uploaded. Okay, I've not uploaded in a while, except for some gaming things. But when it comes to the bookish things, I've not been doing too great. But I thought still I wanted to do a wrap up, a very late wrap up of what I read for December and January and February all together. Now, I haven't done 6,000 million 8 quadruple books. Unfortunately, I'm not that fast a reader, but did do a few good books, a few okay books, a few not so great books. I'm just lying. I actually had a great few months of reading, although I was reading a little bit slow. So to give you a real number of how much I've actually been reading is I've read 5 books in the past 3 months. Isn't that amazing? Like, the cheers, the cheers. I did so well. I did so well. No, I'm kidding. Whether you're reading 10 books a month, whether you're reading 1 book a month, if you're reading, that's all that matters. That's the amazing part. That's the awesome part. Keep reading however much you can read at a time, and that's fine. That's okay. That's great. So, without further ado, I'm very tongue tied today. I don't know why. I do apologize for that. But without further ado, let's get into one of the first books I finished over in December, and that was ML Rio's If We Were Villain. I really, really enjoyed this book for the most part. I think I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. But in all honesty, I almost gave it a 3 out of 5 stars because just somewhere in the middle, I started struggling a bit. It was a little bit hard to read. Not that hard to read in the sense of not understanding what I'm reading, just hard to read in the sense of pacing wise. It felt a little bit slow in the middle of the book, nearing the end of the book, and it felt like I had to really force myself to read the book a little bit. But the ending, my gosh, the ending threw me for a loop with what the ending could possibly mean. But I won't give any spoilers to what the ending might possibly mean. This is definitely not a book for everyone, especially I know a lot of people don't like the Shakespeare. Thankfully, I've done a little bit of Shakespeare in my life, so it wasn't as hard to read with the Shakespeare quotes intertwined into the story. But I would say go into this book knowing that Shakespeare will be a big part of the story. I didn't understand everything, I will be honest, but I did really enjoy the beginning of it, got me hooked. And in the middle, we got a little bit, but then the ending just, I think it was a phenomenal ending to a book. If We Were Villains by ML Rio, if you haven't read it, go check it out, but just be aware you will be reading some Shakespeare and you will need to try and make sense of what they're trying to do with Shakespeare. So just putting it out there. And then the next book I read was by TJ Klune, Under the Whispering Door. This book I enjoyed tremendously. I think I also gave it a 4 out of 5 stars if I remember correctly on Goodreads. Not that that matters at the end of the day. You like what you like and you like what you don't like, but I'll just throw it out there. Um, the one thing that really got me about this book was how TJ Klune dealt with death, understanding death, and coming to grips with death. Because this whole book is basically about death. Under the Whispering Door, it's about death. It's not it's not something I would recommend if you're in some sort of existential crisis. Do not go into this book thinking it's existential crisis. If you're in an existential crisis, do not read this. This is not going to be good for your mental health. But the story was so wholesome, so happy, so good. You had a happy ending. It's a book that I would recommend to people if you want a nice little cozy gay romance with a little thought on the concept of death and what it means and what your life means at the end of the day when we all do die. It's a nice book to read. I would definitely recommend Under the Whispering Door. The next one I read was a 5 out of 5. It was one of my favorite reads of 2023, and this is Straight Expectations by Callum McSwiggan. I've talked about this book before. It's about a gay boy who all of a sudden becomes straight and then needs to navigate his life through it as being a straight boy where he was gay before. It's a cute love story. It's not an intense read. I just had so much fun with it just for what it was. And that's why I gave it a 5 out of 5 if I remember correctly, because it was just such a fun story. You can just let go of everything and just lose yourself in this cute little romantic story, which turns out to be a romance at the end of the day. I think they actually said the fact that it is a romance. But just look at this cute cover as well. How much more gayness do you need from this cover? Definitely people are sleeping on this book. I haven't seen any mentions of this book at all. So definitely if you want something a little bit gayer, Straight Expectations is definitely a good read for that. My heaviest book that I had to work through is Bear Town by Frederick Bachman. This one I gave a 4 out of 5 stars. This one was a great read. This man's writing is impeccable, but I will say the same thing with If We Were Villains is that it just got a little lengthy at the end of it. Sorry for the little damage that the book went through, but it is a secondhand book. It got a little lengthy at the end. It got a little bit wordy. He's a great author. There is a second book in the series. Will I read the second book? No, I don't think so, unless you really convince me to read the second book. For me, I'm just happy with where it ended and how it ended. That I don't see or feel a need for a second book. Maya also wants some attention. She's also gonna pop in here. It was a great book. I understand why people love him so much. I do want to read some of his other work, most definitely. It will just not be the second book unless you can convince me to read the second book. But this was also 4 out of 5 stars. It was a great book. The concept was great. The writing was great. I cannot fault it. I think it's just more a personal thing of it becoming a little bit lengthy. And I think that's a me problem. It's not a book problem. Also would completely recommend this book for anyone who wants something a little bit different, a little bit darker at times, and a little bit hockey related, which I'm not a sports fan, but I really enjoyed actually reading about a hockey team. Was the hockey team messed up? Maybe, maybe not. You're gonna have to read and to find out. And the last book I read, this was what I finished in February. It's Wolfsong by TJ Klune. This is one of my most beautiful books that I own. A special birthday present. I've talked about this book before, but I actually finished reading it. It was amazing. It was a 5 out of 5 stars. I have 0 to no notes. This was just an amazing little weird love story. Some people might find issues with it, which I can understand why, but I loved it and enjoyed it completely. If you want something gay, if you want something wolf related, if you want some, what was the prompt I had for this book? I think it was interspeciality. If you want some interspecies things going on, pick up Wolfsong. This is the first book, and I think a 4-book part series that follows different characters. That's the one thing that I will say, is that the second book follows different same characters, different perspective. Yeah. It follows the same, you deal with the same characters, but you follow a different character in the second book, a different character in the third book, and a different character in the fourth book. I didn't know that. But now I know, and I will definitely be looking out to get the next one. Maybe later in the year, because I want to get a set where all of them have these beautiful hardcover, beautiful painted, hand painted edges, like a special gift to myself. So definitely check out Wolfsong. I'm not giving away too much of it. Just go and read it for a fun, gay old time. I think the characterization was really good. I think the characters, your main character, I think was a really interesting character that you see go and you see and experience how much this character grows. So definitely go check out Wolfsong and see what is the possible problems that can be in this book. But I think the way it was handled was very good, which is why I don't think it was a problem. But yeah, that was my wrap up. I didn't do too much reading at the end of the day. I will be doing my March TBR very, very soon, because my February TBR I sucked at reading, so maybe March will be better. I guess we'll have to wait and see. But if you read any of those big books, leave your thoughts down in the comments down below. If you think I need to read Fredrik Backman's Us Against You, tell me why. Why should I continue with that series? Why should I continue with the hockey story if I don't like sports? Although the writing is exquisite. Why should I continue? Tell me. But as I always say, don't let fear interfere with your happiness. You deserve all the happiness in the world. Groete, liefde, vrede, vreugde, geluk, blijdskap, liefde. Allemaal denkies vir julle. Until next time. Bye bye.